Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
The sites that you have with the research will explain in depth what you talked about?
Yes, I have some more of the research built out. The tools that are there, like Open Site Explorer, Keyword Spy, things like that, I have the links for them. So you can actually go, like Open Site Explorer is a great tool. That was some of what I showed up there. They actually like hover over help. So you can hover over something and they give you a little pop-up that explains, what it is and why it's important to you.
I've had Google Analytics now for a couple of years, and half the stuff on there, I have no idea what the hell it means.
I have a blog post that's 50 different resources on how to use Google Analytics more effectively, and start you out with some small little, training exercises basically, and keep building up. Yeah. So it's an intimidating. They have so much in there. Like you just need a screwdriver, and I'm handing you a whole Swiss Army knife, and you're like, what's all this?
Yep.
But once you start to learn the different tools one by one, it's very, very powerful, and it's free. You can't beat that.
To really talk about your business, just about interesting things that people are want to read about, and maybe then they'll connect with you. Now, is that something that has to be very personal, or can you hire somebody to do that for you?
You can hire somebody to do that for you. People don't want corporate speak or even team speak. They do want something more personal. So don't be afraid to have a personality. I hate to use this as an example, but Howard Stern has a radio ship listener base for a reason, right? The personality invokes things. So you don't want to be too middle of the road. You want to have a little bit of an edge to what you're talking about, and you want it to be personal. So you can get somebody. We do ghostwriting, copywriting for a number of our clients, but we work with them. We say, look, if we met you at a cocktail party, what do you like? Do you just come from a tennis match, or are you ready to go out fox hunting or something? Who are you? What's your personality like? And then we stay within that persona.
But it can sort of be kind of like made up a little bit.
If you have a personality, you're saying this is what there's a guy, Scott Stratton, called Unmarketing. His site's unmarketing.com. If you go to his website, old-fashioned, go to his website on a mobile phone, yeah, it's mobile friendly, but you've got to pinch and scroll, and everyone hates that. So he has a skin. You can actually, I'll show it to you on screen. Everyone with a smartphone can look at a smartphone. He built the mobile app for it, basically. There's lots of different ways of doing it. The best way is to build a custom CMS. What it says is, it basically it says, I see an Android. All right, I'm going to give them this style sheet. I see an iPhone, I'm going to give them this style sheet. It's a tablet, I'm going to give them this. It's more work to have that kind of an adaptive website. It's more work up front. It pays off in the long run. There's a big thing about, should I have an app? Okay, you're not that important. You're not. What do I want to put your freaking app on my phone for? No, seriously, you're just not. No, he's laughing. Do you really think you're that important? He did. He thought he was that important up to now. No, people, they're not going to go to that often. They're doing a search. If you have a nice, friendly, mobile-friendly website they can get to, they'll remember that. They'll bookmark that. They'll come back to it later. But usually, if you National Geographic or something, you might have an app, but you know, usually people don't want to download that, put it on their phone. Apps, on the other hand, they're faster, they're much faster than mobile web. If you really, you know, say you are a plumbing supply house, an app, good use for an app. You know, your plumber may be out there in the field, he may real quick navigate through that, order something for his guy to run back and pick up from you. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. But for most people, if you really want the app, build the app, but after you've done the really effective website. Again, your grandma will download the app, I'm not sure I'm gonna download the app.
A buddy of mine is really knocking people dead because of referrals. And the way he refers is he's got some kind of app on his smartphone with credit cards. Business cards.
Business cards, right, I have
So
one too.
somebody asks him for something, he sends him the business card.
Yeah.
So business card is actually very important to also.
Yes.
Should that be up on the site?
Oh, yeah, if I'm going somewhere, like I was coming here, you know, yesterday, and I had to double check my directions, and I click, and I brought up the site, I'm like, to their site, the SBDC site, and I said, I cannot find this. Well, I found the phone number there, saw the phone number was highlighted, it highlights, I clicked and I called. You know, because I couldn't just find exactly what I wanted. So, business cards are important, your contact information is important, make it easy for people to see, easy for people to get. Bigger your number is in text font, the easier it's gonna be for somebody on a mobile device. Make it super easy, make it up top, don't put it in the footer. Because most people, if they're searching for your mobile, that's what they want your contact information. Okay? Okay, so we're gonna dive down as low as we can go. I can go pretty low. Start out here, you need new business, you looked at PPC, SEO, you got your website going. So let's take a look at e-commerce. Basically, e-commerce is anything that's using technology to enable a sale. And that could even just be a quote request form. A number of people out there actually take pricing down off the internet and get quote requests instead. We'll talk about this a little bit later. So, interesting fact, here's totalcarscore.com. Disclosure, client of mine, love those guys. 97% online consumers research products and services online before buying. So guess what? If it's convenient, it's kind of hard to buy a car online. I mean, people do it though. They do. I mean, they actually buy it online and they buy it states away and then they fly out there and drive it back and whatever the case may be. But the fact of the matter is, some things you still like to touch. You know, I mean, I had this ex-girlfriend just kept ordering shit online and bringing it and trying it on and sending it back. I'm kind of like, yeah, but some things you do like to, you know, you want to see, you want to touch, but for the most part today, people are increasingly comfortable with buying it online. So if they're coming to your site, because here's what happens, right? Let's talk about the steps of e-commerce. Somebody, very rarely does somebody say, I want the Sony 52-inch, you know, TCB 4.5H. They just don't get there, right? They want large screen TV. And then they'll narrow it down to a, you know, 52-inch or larger LCD TV. And then they start to narrow their brands down. That whole process of searching, getting awareness about what they want to buy, then they get very specific and they start looking for that model or those types of models, right? You with me? So if your site is a site that educates people, but you don't have great calls to action for the buy cycle, great, you're helping your competitor get sales. Okay, if you're not in that education phase, you got a shopping cart up and you've got SKUs there, but nobody can really find helpful information on your site, they may never get to you because the guy with the helpful information, they already like them. They're like, oh, they got good reviews, I like their stuff, they got installation guides. So when they're ready to buy, all things being equal, they feel like they have a relationship with them, they're gonna go back to that site, even though you may be whatever. $100 cheaper, you're not gonna get found. So understanding this process about how people research online is very important. A couple different things going on. You can have a quote system. You can generate quotes. You can ask for a request for quote. We're gonna take a look at a site called Dumpster Source. Has a combination of those things. Online buying, you can actually rent a roll of dumpster online, or you can ask for a quote for a number of other things as well. And if you're in a certain businesses, you may not want your pricing online, because then people are, doing some comparison shopping. It's actually better to get them on the phone. You can close them if you got them on the phone. So in that case, you may just get them to fill out, hey, I'm interested in your products and services, and then you contact them. However, most of what we're talking about is allowing the customers to configure and their purchase online, okay, when we're talking about e-commerce. I think that's low, but 80% of US companies have experimented with some form of online procurement, meaning they've tried to procure online. 40% of manufacturers provide customer order status online. That's an increasing number, continuing to increase. All right, and then this is basically just a prediction, but investment in business initiatives on the rise, driven by productivity and cost savings. There's a lot of potential cost savings involved. I mean, one of the ways of looking at the benefits is you can cut costs. This here, internet orders normally cost less than $1 an order. Phone and fax are more than $4 an order. And that kind of order of magnitude number pretty much holds true. I mean, I used to be at DuPont, and we would see the same type of thing with our online procurements versus manual procurements. Typically, you can eliminate errors. You have duplication, eliminate duplication and effort when you're online. But the best thing is waking up, you have your first cup of coffee, you fire up your computer, and you've already made $15,000. Because somebody ordered something from you overnight, you got a bunch of stuff there in the queue to work on. That's the best part about the online. You also have the opportunity to get more leads and qualify more leads online as well. Remember the discovery that we talked about earlier. Okay, somebody likes you, there are a lot of ways they can share that. They can email it out. They can just be talking to a friend. They can write on their Facebook wall, hey, I found these guys, they're great. Lucky Vitamin, luckivitamin.com. They have a Facebook presence. It's not where they do business. They got a great site. They got a lot of people talking about them. They run specials on Twitter and on Facebook. Their friends will share those specials, and they keep increasing their customer base because they have people who like them and they've made themselves shareable. So their business is going up, because this guy who thought he needed an app came across Lucky Vitamin and then shared them. Said, wow, these guys are great. So then 10 of his friends took a look at them. The other thing that you can and should do well online is customer service. Now, how many people here have actually done customer service or answered the phone for customers, whatever case? All right, don't they ask the same freaking questions over and over again, and aren't they usually pretty, boring? And thank you for the word. I was going to say stupid. That sounded rude. All right, but they're it's repetitive. So if you have a really good online system and you have your frequently asked questions, and you've got it nice and easy to digest, you can take a lot of that away and actually get better customer service. So, a little bit obvious, you need a product or service to sell for e-commerce, right? But place. Have your own place, your own domain. We're going to talk about things like Amazon. We're going to talk about things like eBay. I'll give you the pros and cons of that here in a minute. We just covered, I hope you remember, we just covered figure out a way to get people to come to your place. That's pay-per-click, that's SEO, that's social media, getting people to talk about you, blog about you, give you backlinks. This is what trips people up. You need a way to accept orders and accept money. We're going to get into money here a little bit later on in the conversation. The biggest thing that's a headache for most people, especially smaller people, is fulfillment. Now, e-commerce can be kind of tricky because if you have a decent internal fulfillment system and you go with one of the off-the-shelf solutions, they'll take an order, but then the order is just kind of like spitting out of the, on a printer somewhere, and then you got to manually reincorporate that back into your fulfillment system. It becomes a pain in the neck. Guess what? Sometimes customers, especially if you had my ex-girlfriend, returns lots and lots of things. And then you have to have good, if you have good online customer service, it's a great differentiator. People will talk about that. There's famous case studies like Zappos who just kill it on customer service, and they just keep on their customer service, forget their products, on their customer service, they're building business. Okay? Now, I ask now here, what role does social media have in customer service and technical support? And the short answer is it should have a lot. If you're doing it right, and you're listening, and you're intercepting people talking about things out there, then you can do a really good job with this. All right, kind of similar as traditional commerce, but everything's put together in a different way. Here's a very simple view. I'm going to give you a more complicated one in a couple minutes. Very simple view. You got a buyer, they're online, you have a certificate that says you're a real site, you're not ripping people off, you get their information, you got to encrypt it, they're in the online store, you got your McAfee or some other anti-fraud on there, you hit a payment gateway, hits through the banking system, you get paid, the transaction is complete. Very, very simple view. But, you know, it's a real view, it's just oversimplified. All right, a lot of advantages, I'm not going to cover them here. I mean, I think everyone pretty much knows the advantages of e-commerce, but we talked about you can reduce cost, but the other thing is electronic commerce increases sales opportunities for the seller. That's the biggest thing. You get out of your market, out of your niche, out of your little corner of the world, and people can be buying from you from almost anywhere. Easy to expand your market to other countries if you want as well, which is very, very, very interesting. Target, good old Target is using great statistical data to generate offers and promotions. They're doing a great job of targeting, almost a little bit too good. There's a really famous story about how by using the data that they were collecting from customers, they were creating specialized coupon books that they would then mail to people in the mail. And this father took exception because his daughter got one all around babies and maternity clothes and things like that because Target thought she was pregnant. He got pissed off and he went to the store and it created a big row. Guess what? They were right.
Oh.
He didn't know. Yeah. Really, really interesting case study that they had there. So they were using data they were gathering from the shopping purchases, and they figured out that this young lady was pregnant before the parents knew. A little scary, right? A lot of advantages to consumers. I don't know about you guys, but really honestly, during the day, who's got time to get out during the day? During the evening, same thing. You know, a lot of times I'll be shopping 10, 11 o'clock at night. I'll be shopping first thing in the morning online. Hyper convenient. The other thing too is comparison tools. Build them on your own site. Compare yourself to your own competitors. You know your consumer's going to want to do that. If you can do that in a good way or favorable way, and you give them that in one place, people start coming to you to look at the comparisons. Hopefully, you know, they're going to stick with you. So that's something that we're living in the age of referral right now and recommendation. All right, so 3 years ago, I would just search online and get a result back. I had no idea if any of my friends, family, anyone even knew this company. Today you do. All right, Google, Bing, they're bringing that information in. I can see that, you know, Chris Brogan likes this company and 15 other of my friends like the company. I can go so far as to call Stan Phelps up and, hey, did you really deal with these guys? Oh yeah, I did, they were great. Cool. You know, all that information is becoming increasingly at your fingertips. A lot of advantages to society, but more people can work at home. People out in the hinterlands can access all the same products. You know, e-government systems are increasingly coming online, which is reducing time spent for administrative tasks. Disadvantages. If you're a lawyer, kind of hard to sell yourself online. There's other things too. I mean, certain services don't lend themselves to that, but guess what? You're still selling yourself online. It's just your call to action's different. You want people to fill out the contact box. You want people to call you. All that can and should be measured. All right, I have legal clients. We put dynamic phone numbers up. We say, hey, Mr. Limo guy came to the site. He cruised around. He's looking at criminal law, and he actually called the phone number. Great, and you can see how many people are actually taking that action, converting for you, coming to your website and improve those things. So I would suggest to you, anybody who's in business is selling online somehow, even if you're not having somebody check out with a good or service. Just your conversions now is that phone call or that contact box. With that said, it can be difficult to look at return on investment. Most people don't know how to do it, all right? And I'll be honest, it can be cumbersome to put it together, but I always put together return on investment for clients. I mean, it's why you're doing it. But it can be difficult, it can be a challenge. Certain businesses have cultural, legal obstacles to conducting e-commerce, pharmaceuticals being one of them, for example. Here's the more complicated ecosystem. This is just kind of an eye chart to say, look, it's not just as easy as installing PayPal on your site. You got campaign management, you have to have a catalog, you need your CRM to look at your partners and your clients, you've got account management, your cart, order management, fraud, returns, drop ship, availability. There's a lot potentially involved here. So with that said, how do you get started with e-commerce? Well, there's two basic things. You can outsource it all, just turnkey it all somewhere, or you can build your own on your own site. So let's take a look at compare and contrast these a little bit. So one of the solutions out there on e-commerce is called BigCommerce. And all this again will be available in the deck, but these guys are good. They're very, very flexible. They're already optimized for SEO to help you be found. The key on all these things is, can I use my own domain? If the answer is yes, it's already a big win. You do want live support via phone. You really want to be talking to somebody who is nearby, can speak your language, and can actually help you. And then there's different things about number of products. This here is limited to 100 products for their basic plan of $25 a month. Only a 15-day free trial. That's kind of scant, kind of hard to really get everything up and running and going in 15 days, but you can try it. And they have a lot of, drag and drop functionality, a lot of kind of just WYSIWYG way of building your store and getting going. So here's the good news. You can use something like this, get yourself started, make some money, go improve it. Go after a different platform, expand it out, do a little bit more customization on it. The mistake I see certain businesses do is they want the Mac Daddy of all solutions right out of the gate. They spend a lot of time and money on it, and guess what? That's not really what their customers were looking for. It's not, the interface isn't quite right, the database is screwed up, whatever the case may be. They sunk a ton of money into something that should have been an experiment in the first instance. So, if you're considering it, do not hesitate to experiment and play with something like this, and then migrate later. As long as you have your own domain name, you can change what's behind the scenes over and over and over again. All right, Shopify. Kind of like Shopify. There's a lot of different tools. Again, you can use your own domain. Yes, they have phone support. There's no limit. It's $24 for monthly, and it's 30-day free trial, so you can really kind of get up to speed with it. They have a lot of templates. If you're familiar with WordPress at all, Shopify also has a lot of pre-formatted templates that you can go and use and play around with and customize somewhat to the look and feel of your business. And then we have the venerable Yahoo. So we're going to start to look at some of the more expensive solutions here. Yahoo starts that out because they have a 1.5% per transaction fee on top of their $40 a month. Now, why would you want to pay 1.5% when the past 2 or 3 solutions I showed you were free? Well, their support, quite frankly, is better. They have a lot more resources. They will also integrate your storefront back into their own Yahoo search and their own Yahoo directory, so you're showing up in front of anyone using Yahoo. I think there's still 7% of the people left using Yahoo as a search engine. And they have a lot of deep dive development tools, so if you get a developer, you can build that out in much more detail than you can with some of these other free solutions. So Yahoo is something that's at least worth looking at. No free plan. You're basically signing up from day one and playing around with it. Somebody needs to talk to them about, lending out the puppy here. Amazon. Amazon comes in a couple different flavors. I have a couple examples here on my computer that we're going to dive to once we hit the Q&A section here. So they have a web store. The web store is your own domain, and they also have an e-store, which is their domain. And there's advantages and disadvantages to both. Okay, and this one here, what's nice about it is, now this is 7% commission on web store sales, 7%. And with that said, I have people who are making good money using this technique, And on top of that, they're using the one-click web store builder, they're using the fulfillment. So Amazon, you can also use Fulfillment by Amazon as a service to go ahead and handle all of your fulfillment. They'll basically do the picking and shipping for you. Again, fees are variable depending upon what you have going on. One lady I know has a boutique clothing store in California, and she's at 15%. So, she's paying another 8% for all the fulfillment, but she's making money. So here's the good news. If you're making money with Amazon and you're paying 14, 15% back to Amazon, great. You've got the business case to go ahead and build your own store. You've got the business case to do pay-per-click. You've got the business case to do SEO. You've got a good little starting point to understand how you can grow your business even more and lower the cost of that. Yes, ma'am?
When you say, can I use my own domain? So if somebody goes to buy on Amazon, then your product is listed, and
What happens here is there's a couple different ways you can figure this. Use your own domain is, isellimousines.com. It's backed by the Amazon store. Like, you don't realize it when you come and take a look at my domain. Just all kind of behind the scenes, like intel inside. They have another, I didn't put it in the deck here, but they have another service which you're literally on their storefront as well. And there's ways of getting your Amazon web store to have those products also appear back on the Amazon mothership. And there's good reason to do that. There's still tons of products and niches out there that Amazon hasn't filled out yet. And you'll see, because like I'm a Prime member on Amazon, you'll see, well, this doesn't, it's not Prime shipping because it's really coming from, Harry's HO model train store or something, and shipping to me from those guys. So it's not part of their direct system.
so if I'm listed with Amazon Web Store, but I sell things from my own website on my own,
Yeah.
do they capture that?
What happens is if you're using the Amazon web store, it's your own website, you're not on Amazon.com. However, you're using all the back-end systems of their system. So people are still, basically when they put in the information of who they are and what they're doing, how much you're spending, Amazon's capturing all that information. It's their back-end. You don't have your own separate back-end for that. So they know what people are buying, and therefore they're hitting you with this 7% commission. Okay? But the point is that Amazon's big. There's several different ways of leveraging it. Problem if you're on Amazon Prime, the main Amazon site, is people can see your price versus everybody else's price, and all things being equal, they're probably going to go with the lower price. eBay, everyone's kind of familiar with eBay. Maybe try to sell your Pokemon cards there or something, right? eBay. Okay, you can't use your own domain on eBay. Their support really is no live phone support. It's interesting, you can get in there cheap, $16 a month for the basic plan. They have options to take it up and increase it. It's good if you have certain items do really well in eBay. I mean, if you got the market cornered on something, it could be any number of different things. Collectibles especially do really well here, but people are selling what I'll call normal products through eBay as well. So I'd say if you're looking at eBay, just do your research, see how many competitors you have, and if there's already like 100 people there and they've already been there, almost as long as me since Moby Dick was a guppy, they've been there forever and they got great seller ratings and all that, it's not really the place for you. If you've got a niche and you can work your way in there, then it's something that you may want to consider. The other thing about eBay is, I forget the name of it offhand, but I have it in my notes. There's a number of different companies that do fulfillment for eBay. There's like an eBay Pro Shops or something like that. And again, you can basically turnkey all that to them and have them handle the fulfillment and pick and ship and all that for you as well, taking that burden off of you. And they're authorized by eBay, so they're like partners with eBay. Now, on to a couple different flavors. Then we're going to talk about open source where you're more or less rolling your own. Volusion, I like Volusion. Number of people I know are using Volusion. What's interesting about Volusion is if you're looking to open your own physical storefront, Volusion Merchant Services offers retail terminals as well. It's the only people I know who do that. So they have like basically their own little mini shopping malls, and you can kind of get space in there as your storefront, and they'll just transact that there for you. It's an interesting concept. But really easy, super friendly to use templates to build your own site with. You can use your own domain. It has great integration on the back end to things like QuickBooks, so you can read the files right back into that. They have a rudimentary ERP system where you can kind of track the stages of things. It can be adapted to manufacturing somewhat as well. So you've got multi-step process. It can kind of track that stuff for you too. 14 days to try it. Pretty reasonable. $25 a month, but $50 setup fee. They actually work through you or work with you on the setup. And if you're looking at just kind of a turnkey store, you don't have your own website, you don't want to do your own website per se, but you want something that's slick and professional looking and pretty easy to use, these guys have a nice solution, Volusion. Again, your own domain name is really important, and their support's excellent. I've talked with them a number of times. So, can you build your own? Forget eBay, Amazon, Volusion, all that. Can you build your own? No. Well, you can. It's just not worth it to you. It's really a yes and no. You can build your own complete site. You can build your own database. You can do all your own back end. I'm going to show you an example of that here on the web in a minute. But you do not want to do the order. You don't want to do the actual credit card taking the money. You don't want to handle that yourself. First of all, you can. You have to work through merchant services anyway. You're going to have to go through a merchant service account, aka credit card company. And there's something called PCI compliance, which quite frankly is a pain in the buttocks, and you don't want to have to reinvent that wheel. There's so many solutions out there. Magento is one of them, ZenCart, XCart, OpenCart. There's several open source shopping carts out there that you can fully customize to plug directly into your own site, work with your own merchant services. If you already have a merchant service account set up, most businesses do. You can do everything. Web design, look and feel, database, completely bring it into your own customer service application. Everything can be yours, but you're still going to want to go ahead and use somebody else's shopping cart to handle the encrypted information and take the payment information. Good news is there's lots of really good ones out there. Okay? So let's take a look at a couple of the bigs as well. I mean, if you just want to really get down and dirty and say, I'll use PayPal, I'll use Google, go back to Google Checkout. PayPal has a lot of options to it. I mean, for no monthly fee on the standard, you can take credit cards, take PayPals, you can send invoices, you get a free card swiper, you accept checks. I mean, I have a card swiper with me. I'm taking tips after this. You can get a debit card. I mean, all kinds of cool stuff for a little bit more money than you can design and host your own checkout pages for full control. So the disadvantage of PayPal, unless you're going with the pro account, is everyone knows that it's PayPal. It's good, bad, and different. I mean, some people get turned off by that, but when they click buy, they're actually taken to PayPal, off of your site to PayPal temporarily. They verify their information with PayPal. PayPal says, thank you very much, we're now returning it to the site. Some people don't like that. I personally don't like that. I mean, I use it, but I'm kind of, they're just not professional. So, I mean, for $30 a month, if you really have volume, I'd say, go with the heavy duty. Also, accept credit cards via phone, fax, and email, virtual terminal. A lot of businesses need that. You can't do that unless you're in the pro version of PayPal. So, really easy. I mean, PayPal, my only knock on PayPal is that sometimes when you need help, it can be really hard to get the right person on the phone with you, even with the paid account. So, but the good news is you rarely really need help. I mean, they got a fairly robust, they have like well over 100 million people using PayPal. It's a big chunk. It's actually the single biggest portal out there in the world right now. I use PayPal for tons of things. Business, personal, in between. Use it for checkout, transfer money with it. It's very versatile. So, you can get started with it for free. Their fees are reasonable. I didn't grab that page, but they're somewhere around 2 to 4%, depending upon what you have going on. Most merchant services are in the high 2s, depending upon what you can negotiate. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. Google. So Google Checkout. Google, it's not quite as deep as PayPal. There's not as many people using it now. But if you have an Android phone and you ever buy anything at their marketplace, and now they're calling the Play stores, you're using Google Wallet. They're signing up for it automatically. So there's more and more and more people in the Google system, even if they don't necessarily know it. And they have this thing called Google Wallet. Yahoo had something similar. They give you a wide variety of tools, from email, buy now buttons, store gadgets, checkout cards, pre-integrated cards. They integrate with a lot of vendors. You can click through and look at their list. Some of the ones we talked about before, like Volusion and Shopify, can use the Google checkout. And you got the geek alert going on. You can do your own custom shopping carts. You need programming skills and pretty Mac Daddy the thing out so it's fully integrated with your own site. So people don't know that they're using the Google checkout per se, but you're using all the back-end functionality of the Google checkout. So, but to get going, no skills, basic HTML. This is integrated with a third-party solution. It's fairly easy to use. Not as many people using that, like have their credit cards registered with Google Checkout or Google Wallet as with PayPal. Okay, and so, 6 one, half dozen the other. I mean, they're both good. Some people actually use both of them. I don't know why you would do that, but you can actually have both installed. I guess I don't have my suspenders on, I just got a belt, but some people wear both. So maybe it's one of those things. The fees, I mean, they're kind of similar to PayPal, so I put this here. Google Checkout, if you're doing less than $3,000 a month, it's 2.9%, plus 30 cents, and then it drops all the way down to almost 2%. If you're doing like 100,000 or more per month. All right, and then they have some additional fees if it's foreign countries, some other stuff, but it's fairly reasonable. Your comparison is to just do your own ZenCart, Magento, OpenCart, any of the other solutions, and go with Merchant Services account. They're not that hard to set up. I've set them up for a number of people. I mean, you just work with your merchant service. Basically you're doing it, also through somebody else like VeriSign, for example. You hook in your numbers. Usually the merchant service accounts will also give you information, like they'll give you QIF files you can download directly into QuickBooks, help you integrate your transactions, help you with reconciliations. What the pro is, you can perhaps negotiate a more favorable rate, and the money typically sweeps faster into your accounts if you're using your own merchant services account versus a PayPal or Google checkout. The cons, you may still need to support PayPal. I mean, I actually would recommend it. A lot of people are using PayPal. They want to use PayPal to pay with. They don't want to use their credit card. And then you may not be able to negotiate a better rate. I know a lot of people, I look at the rates, they think they have a good rate, and I know better. I'm kind of like, it's not so good. So, there's some people are up, in the mid-3s somewhere in terms of the merchant, the merchant services rate. So those are the things you want to take a look at. Really sit down with your service provider for your merchant services account and kind of understand where you can get break points. If you're doing more volume and more online business, they'll drop your rate down from maybe 2.7% to 2.3% or something. Understand what that is. If they're not really going to help you, probably if you twist my arm, I'd say, okay, take a long, hard look at PayPal and just integrate the PayPal services. Knowing that if you get big enough, you may want to switch back over to your merchant service account. Okay, so I'm going to go into Q&A, but I have a bunch of things teed up on my computer website-wise to take a look at.